Hello, everyone. It's good to see you as you begin. It's been a long time. As you begin to come in, let me know in the comments if you can see me and hear me and if you are good. Okay? All right. I can see myself on Facebook, so I assume that you can see me also. All right. So we're going to get started in a few minutes. I have missed you all so much, my high capacity women. And I want to talk to you about something today, talk to you about what's been going on with me, hopefully find out what's been going on with some of you, and really talk about this issue of worth and value and how we establish what's the difference and how do we establish it. Okay. Give StreamYard permission, please, to show your name so that I can see you. Who said hi, Mama Littles? Who is that? Is that Crosby? Who is that? Write your name in so I know who it is. Come on in, come on in. We are at the end of the year, and I decided to try to go ahead and do this live because it is so, I get this question so much during the year. Um, I knew it was you, Faith. I knew it was you. I knew you. I know your voice. I know your language. Even though I couldn't see your face, I knew it was you. It is so good. I miss you too. I'll have to catch up with you next time I'm in Detroit. But we get this issue. How many of you, you're at the end of the year? I know you're getting ready for 2023. Like Faith, for example, I see her. I see you doing some beautiful things on Instagram and on Facebook and advertising those things to your audience. I want to talk to you today. Hi, L'Oreal. It's good to see you. You burning it up, girl. You and your husband, you are tearing it up. I just love it. I think I'm going to have to get a group together in Detroit when I'm in Detroit. But you all are tearing it up. And I want to, number one, encourage you. And I want to share some things with you as I've been coaching hundreds of people over the course of this year. And there's one particular area that I want to talk to you all about because you inspire me too, because it is so, so critical. All right. So let's give people another minute as I greet you, and then we're gonna jump right in. We're not gonna be long, but we're gonna jump right in. And I hope to give you some impactful information today and some things for you to really think about in your business. And if you don't have a business, in your professional career. Yep. The question is always difficult for you to answer. And you're not the only one. I coach women entrepreneurs. I have males too, but I coach focus on women entrepreneurs and professional people. And they always ask this question: how much should I ask for in terms of a promotion? How much do you think I should ask for? And then even as an entrepreneur, you put a product in the market and you're like, well, how much should I charge for it? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to ask, number one, what are you really asking? And number two, how do you determine what it is that you're really asking? Okay. So we're going to get started because I believe in valuing time and other people can catch up. Um, but I get this question all the time as a coach. And the question is, how much should I ask for? I'm up for a raise or promotion. How much should I ask for? And then the other question is from entrepreneurs is I have a product, I have a service. How much should I charge? Well, I want to start off by saying there is a difference between worth and value that you bring to the table. All right. Your worth and who you are is priceless. You cannot put a figure on your worth. And until you understand that, you will not be able to establish value. Until you understand that you are worthy, you will not be able to establish value. Because really, when people are asking me, how much should I charge? They're really asking, how much am I worth? And that's why a lot of coaches will say to you, and it's very frustrating to people, they'll say to you, but what do you think you're worth? What do you think the product's worth? And people get so frustrated with that. So I just really want to break that down. Understand, number one, that your worth is you're priceless. So you can't put a price on your worth. All right. What you put a price on is the value that you bring to the table. And I'm going to tell you how to put the price on the value that you bring to the table. You cannot put a price on your worth. Every single one of you are worthy. You're worthy because God, I'm a faith person that God made you. You're worthy because you have certain gifts, talents, and abilities. You are worthy because of who you are as a person. You are worthy because what you add to the world. So you're already worthy. All right. So if you understand that, it will also help you to deal with rejection. When you get rejection and people say, no, I'm not interested, or they say nothing at all. If you understand that you are worthy and that your worth is priceless, you won't be tied into the issue of I'm not good enough because they said no. And that is extremely important because until you get past that, trying to set value is going to be useless. And trying to build a business is going to be useless because every rejection for you is going to sting. And if you are building a business or building a career, you are going to get no's. You have to get no's because it is a part of the process. So understand you must get no. You must get people talking about your business. You must get people who don't like what you're doing or who don't think that what you're doing is worthwhile. If you understand that as an individual, you are worthy, you won't deal with this issue. So once we establish the fact that we are worthy, how do I establish value? How do I put a dollar amount on what it is that I'm doing? I have a couple of questions for you. See, because value changes. The value that I brought to the table 10 years ago is different than the value I bring to the table now. The value I brought 10 years ago is different from the value I bring to the table now. That's why it is so important to understand that you must constantly be growing. You must constantly be becoming. And the reason for that is because now what I bring to you in reference to my skill set, in reference to my knowledge, in reference to my credibility, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the value that I bring to the table. That is also why in whatever you do, you don't want to be the jack of all trades and the master of none, because you want to be an expert at what you do because it affects the value that you bring to the table. When you understand how to create value and what value is comprised of, then you have the ability to change the value. So maybe I was worth, or the value, not worth, but my value that I brought to the table was $300 last year. And now I'm a year later and I've done A, B, C, D, and E this year. The value that I bring to the table now may be worth than the $300 value that I brought to the table last year. So you've got to understand that. This will also help you in not concerning yourself about changing your prices, because sometimes you have to change your price. Now there's a whole, segment on how to change price and how to introduce that to the market. But I want you to understand value. So let's talk about the components, some of the components of value, because these are things that you have the ability to change, and you have the ability to determine how much of these you actually have. First of all, are you a person of growth? Are you a person who invests in yourself? If you're a business person and you're on this call, or you're a career person and you're on this call, you get tired of people talking about, investment. You have got to invest. L'Oreal, for example, and her husband, they have multiple businesses. I know they have invested heavily in those businesses, right? You've got to invest. So are you a person of growth, who's willing to invest in yourself? And I hear people say this all the time, especially people who are in the workplace. People will say sometimes to me, Barbara, I will attend that and I will go to that and I will pay for that conference and pay to go wherever if my boss pays for it, if my job pays for it. No, honey. But let me tell you, if you're waiting for someone else to pay for something, what you're doing is you're giving them the power to decide your value. You're giving them the power to decide what you will grow in, how you will grow, and when you will grow. Because if they say no, oh, well, I'm not going, my boss won't pay for it. Your boss has just you've allowed your boss, not your boss, you've allowed your boss to just put a cap on you. All right? Always go to your job first and ask them, will you pay for this? And will you help contribute, to this for me? And tell them how It's going to help them in their business, right? But if that person says no, I've gone to people and asked them to do, pay for certain things or support certain things and sponsor certain things. And if they say no, I've already decided and made up in my mind before I ask them that if they say no, it doesn't matter because I'm going anyway. I'm just going to figure out how to pay for it because I'm never going to allow someone else to determine what my value is and whether or not my value increases, whether it stays the same. And let me say this, your value doesn't stay the same. It never stays the same. Your value is either increasing or it's decreasing. Why? Because the world around you is changing. So there's no such thing as you're standing still. Your friends are not standing still. The people around you are not standing still. If they're not growing, then they're decreasing. And guess what? If you hang around them long enough, you'll decrease too. All right? That's an aside. Secondly, how knowledgeable are you? How knowledgeable are you in the thing that you are doing? If you've taken a course and now you're going to do a product and you're going to now charge for that product, your knowledge level doesn't run very deep. It does not. And that is why people who promise overnight success in business, I know that they are not really in business. They are playing around with the business, but they're not really in business because there's a time element that absolutely is involved. Every one of us can experience temporary success, right? Temporary success. You can get money, you can make money in your business and what you're doing, but long-term success is not going to come overnight. Substantial long-term success is not coming overnight. All right. You see people in the marketplace, you see the TD Jakes, you see Jay-Z, you see Beyonce, people like, oh my God. Or you call people, you say the overnight success. Study their stories. They are not an overnight success. You just knew about them overnight. You found out about them overnight, but they are not an overnight success. They have planted and invested time, energy, money, resources for years. And all of a sudden we find out about them. They come to our awareness and we're like, wow, overnight success. You see how she blew up? One of the people that I think about is Tabitha Brown. Tabitha has blown up, honey. I didn't even know who Tabitha was until like a year ago, okay? Tabitha has blown up. She's in every single market, on everything that where you go, you see Tabitha Brown. But when you go back and look at her story, it was not overnight. She tells you the history of her journey, and that's why she always encourages people to continue. Don't give up. Don't give up. We've been sold a bill of goods that because we have Instagram and Facebook and all these other things, that if I go on there and I'm on there 10 times a day, I'm going to blow up. Not so. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. And let me say this. If you're on those things live 10 times a day, you're not building the business because you don't have time to build the business. And, people who know me, some of you know me well, I'm the truth teller. You're not building a business because you're not even doing the things you need to build a business because you're too busy on Facebook trying to get people to see you. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn are good. I use them, but I'm saying to you that alone is not going to build your business. All right. You must be knowledgeable in what you're doing, not just knowledgeable. You need to be the expert in what you're doing. And I don't care what it is. If you own a restaurant, I know L'Oreal, like I said, have multiple businesses. You need to be the best at knowing how to engage people. You need to be the best in knowing what great customer services look like. I think about Jim Collins' book, From Good to Great. He said, good is the enemy of great. You never become great when you settle for good. Oh, that's good. And people say, oh, that's good. And let me tell you this, most people, and they don't do it maliciously, they don't tell us the truth. They'll say, oh, that is good. That is so good. Oh my gosh. Some of those people have never done anything. So they're looking at what you're doing and saying it's great. That's number one. So be careful who you're listening to. Number two, they don't have the skill set. They're not being malicious. They really love you. They want to try and encourage you, but they're really not helping you in a lot of ways because you get a false sense of I'm great when you may be just good. And God forbid if you're really just average. All right. And you get on, they say, oh, this is so great. You tell them, sis, you do that, you do this, and they don't have a reference point for greatness. You've got to find people who have a reference point for greatness. If you don't have a reference point for greatness, then why am I listening? I can appreciate what you're saying, and I applaud you for encouraging me where you are, but you don't have a reference point for greatness. And what we do is we say, oh, all these people said it was so good and I was so great. Do they have a reference point for greatness? Because if they don't, they really can't help you, right? Because they would tell you, they will pull you to the side. They're not going to call you out on Instagram or call you out on Facebook. They're going to pull you to the side and say, you know what? That's a good start, but I know that's not your best. I'm not at the best. And then if you're a wise person, you will say, what was it about it that didn't resonate with you? So you must be knowledgeable in what you do, in every aspect of what you do. You must be, we want to lead a business. We want to lead our careers. But I'm a believer that you must structure, you must build, and then you lead. You cannot lead what you have not built, and you cannot build what you have not structured. And any person that has any kind of business, they may not be able to put it in those words. But that's what it is. If I haven't built it and I haven't structured it, there's nothing for me to lead. And we are trying to lead things that we have not structured and that we have not built. Okay? Number 3, credibility. Credibility is a part of value. What do other people say? Not people that are just talking, but people who have they have greatness. People who, when they say, oh, I can tell you that she's good, people will believe it because they know this person is great. Okay? So credibility in the marketplace, credibility in what you do, credibility in what you know. You become credible because you've helped other people achieve their goals. You become credible because you've helped other people build their business. You become credible because you have impacted a number of people. When you start out, are you going to have that immediate credibility in terms of having 1,000 people you've helped? Absolutely not. But you know what you do have? You have your good name. What you have is, if I said I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I said I'm going to help you, I'm going to help you. Even if it ends up being a detriment to me in that moment after the fact. I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. So you start out there and building your credibility. The next result, what results have you had? Who have you impacted? Whose careers have you impacted? When that kicks in and credibility kicks in on that level, you're golden. You're really golden. You have to be focused. You've got to be focused. Ask yourself this. Well, was I the little girl who, when I walked up the stairs or ran up the stairs, did I run up the stairs 3 or 4 stairs at a time? Some of us ran up 3 or 4 stairs at a time. And then others always ran up 1 step at a time. If you were the one that ran up 3 or 4 steps at a time, and I used to do that because I was kind of a tomboy, right? I run up 3 or 4 steps at a time. You're doing that so you can get to the top quicker. But in business, you need to run up 1 step at a time. 1 step at a time. Establish one thing. Establish the structure of your business. Then establish what you need to do to build it out and do it 1 step at a time. And then once you establish that, then you can lead it. Because you need to put other people in place who are also able to lead in your business. And you cannot do that if you have not structured and you have not built. Because then you're trying to tell them and show them what you know, but there's no pattern, there's no blueprint for them to in the structure and in the build. You must be able to duplicate in your business. All right? So you have to be focused in order to do that. You have to be resourceful. You have to say, where can I go get information? Who can I get information from? And let me say this, most people who are successful, they are willing to help you. They really are. They're willing to add value to you. Now, what they're not willing to do is to waste their time. All right. So if you come and you ask the same 5 questions and you haven't moved on the first thing they told you to do, they're most likely not going to engage. So these are things that I'm sharing with you that most people will not tell you. And you'll just wonder, well, I wonder why they're not responding to me, why they won't engage. And then sometimes a person is busy and they may have missed your message. And I've had so many people who have called me and said, "Oh, we've connected on a later date," and they said, "You know what? I tried to connect with you a year ago, and I just figured you didn't want to be bothered, or I never saw your message. Where'd you leave a message for me?" And they tell me where they left a message. I said, "Oh, I don't even I don't take messages from there. I don't." They said, "You don't?" I said, "No." And then one day I was on Facebook, and they had the messenger, and they had the messenger divided up into people who've contacted you before and people who haven't. Well, you never contacted me before, so they put your message in another category, and I didn't even see it until today. Don't assume. You've got to be resourceful, and you've got to be relentless. Relentless means I'm going after it. I'm going to continue to go after it until I get it. Okay? So you've got to be resourceful. You've got to be relentless. And so you've got to understand that there are people and places and things where there's plenty of information. All right? And I'm going to say this, and this may rub some people the wrong way, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's the truth. You will not build a business on free. It's not going to happen. You can start out with free and getting free information and things that, because there's plenty of information on the internet, plenty of information on YouTube, but that cannot be your business model. Free cannot be your business model. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, because most people are going to give you what you need to do, but not how you need to do it. Okay? If I'm going to give you something, I'd like to give you how to do it. Most people are not going to do that. That's number one. They're going to make you pay for the how. Number two, you don't want to be a business person that's always looking for free, because when you build your business, you are going to attract who you are. You are going to attract who you are. And if you are a person that's always looking for free, you're going to attract people who are always looking for free. All right? And then you have to be people skilled. You have to be skillful with people. You have to understand people. You have to understand what inspires people. You have to understand how to educate people. You have to understand how to train people. You have to understand people. You have to understand how to galvanize a team, how to motivate your team. You have to understand how to engage a team. You have to understand all of those things. If any of those elements are missing, then you have left money on the table because you have not added to your value. So these are some of the things that will add to your value. Now, when you sit down and say, well, how much should I charge? We're going to go through these questions. And then you're going to come up with a price. And your price is not based on someone else saying, well, gosh, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for you. It's not a lot of money for the people that who are my audience, who I'm engaging, and where they want to go. See, because people pay for where they want to go. They do. People don't get on Facebook and Instagram and tell you of how people who are successful. One of the things they don't really tell you, they may mention it, but they don't really break it down, of how much they've invested. And I keep losing L'Oreal because I know that she's invested heavily. Her and her husband have heavily invested. Do I know that because they told me that? No. I knew that. I know that because what I see them doing. And so I know that to get a seat at that table or to go to that training, I know how much that training costs. All right. So I know they're heavily invested. So that's how I know, not because I've talked to them and they said, oh, Barbara, we've invested X amount of money. No, I know that they're heavily invested. So you have to ask yourself these questions. And as you ask yourself these questions, am I a person of growth? Am I, growth oriented? Am I willing to invest in myself? The answer is no. Put a zero, and you have to be honest with yourself. How knowledgeable am I on this subject matter? I have things that I wanted to write about and teach about, but I said, you're not quite knowledgeable enough yet, Barbara, in order to do that. You've experienced some things, but you're not quite knowledgeable yet. All right. If you can't answer past 6 or 7 questions deep, you're not knowledgeable enough. All right. So am I knowledgeable enough in this area? If not, it doesn't matter. I can change the value of it. I then become knowledgeable. I get books. I talk to people. I go to webinars. I go to conferences. I'm going to become knowledgeable on that very thing. And I'm going to become knowledgeable. And the people that I become knowledgeable from, or the books or the resources I become knowledgeable from, I am not going there to hate on those people. All right. I'm not. Because I'm going there saying they know something that I don't. I need to find out what it is. Knowledgeable. So how knowledgeable am I on this thing that I'm trying to do? And it's not an issue of you have experienced something with it. We do a lot of kind of testimonial things. Well, I've experienced this, so that's why you should buy from me because I know how to do this. Absolutely not. That's an experience that you've had. And that experience that you have plays a part in your credibility. But if you don't know how to use that in your business and understand, that does not qualify you to charge somebody $1,000, $300, or whatever it is to just find out your story. People are not interested just in your story. They're attracted by your story. What they're interested in is your story and how did you get from there to where you are, assuming that you're in a great place. How did you get there? So a lot of times we tell the people our story and we stop there. That was a great story. But I'm really not going to pay you to tell me your story. I'm paying you to tell me your story and to tell me this is where I was and this is where I am and this is how I got there. Your story adds credibility. It is a part of your value. Results. Am I results? Have I gotten results? Have I had impact with people? If have I had an impact on their career? Have I had an impact? Now they did the work. No, so you can't take credit for their work, okay? But have I helped them to have impact? Have I helped them move from one place to the next? Because if I have, then okay, I have some results. And you give yourself some credit for the results, all right? Give yourself a point value for the results. Am I focused? How focused am I right now on what I'm doing? Because focus is going to add to or take away from your expertise. If you're focused, you're going to develop a wealth of expertise. You become the expert. All right? How resourceful am I? If I can't find information one place, am I the person that'll sit and say, well, I couldn't find it and there was nobody to help me, like the man by the pool of Bethesda, for those who know the story, right? Well, there's nobody to help me in the pool, and he laid there for 38 years. Some of us have been laying around for a long time saying there's nobody here to help us. Well, yeah, they are here to help you. They are here to help you. There is a cost, and especially for people, those of you who are on here, people of faith. The Bible gives you the blueprint. Laying by the pool for 38 years or 10 years or 5 years and saying, there's nobody here to help me, is not going to get you want to go. In fact, when Jesus came to him, he asked him, do you want to be whole? So I'm asking you, if you're in the same place you were last year, do you really want a business? And it's okay to say, you know what? I really don't want a business. Do you want a promotion? It's okay to say, I really don't want it, but don't pretend like you do and you don't. Because then if you do, you're willing to do the things you need to do in order to get it. All right. So you have to ask yourself all of these questions, give yourself a rating, and then say, where can I start? Once you do that, you are able to confidently set your price. Because really, when you're asking people all the time, what should I charge and how much should I ask for? You're asking them, how much do you think I'm worth? And let me tell you, whatever number they give you is going to be way less than you're probably worth. Right? When you have invested heavily, when you are knowledgeable, when you've established credibility, when you are results-oriented and focused, when you are resourceful and you are people skilled, let me tell you something. You're not going to ask that question anymore because you're going to know how much you're worth. And the person who sits in front of you and says, ooh, and I've had people do this. Oh, that's too much. It's okay. That is not your person at that time. There are places and rooms that I was not ready for at certain places in my career, certain times in my career, or in building my businesses. And that was okay. Because maybe 2 years from now, I was ready to look at that and say, oh, it's $10,000, it's $20,000. Okay. Woo, I had to swallow. Okay. But I'm at this table. I need to be at this table. Now, prior to that, did I just sit back and twiddle my thumbs? Absolutely not. I started and, let me see, get the free information online. go to the small things that you can. That's $49, $59. Person, if you don't want to pay $59 or $100 to do something, you're not serious about business, because business costs. And like I said, the Bible's the blueprint. The Bible says to count the cost. Before you start building, count the cost. And let me say this, you won't always know all the costs when you start. I'm going to do a masterclass. L'Oreal, I'm going to do a masterclass with you and your husband. I'm going to get together with you and your husband and do a masterclass when they get time, because they got a lot going on. But I want to do a masterclass with them because I'd like to talk to them. One of the things I'd like to ask them about is, what cost did you count before you start to build? What I know, and I have not talked to them, I can guarantee you, they will say they started building, and they started building their business and investing heavily and going forth, and something comes along and you're like, ooh, I didn't see that coming. And I didn't really count that cost in. That's a part of the process. You don't beat yourself up. You get up, you say, okay, what do we need to do? And you keep it moving. But what that does is, now you have another place of reference. They have another place of reference for that next business or the next time they do that. And guess what? When they come to the marketplace with how to build, they're coming with the value of all of the wins, all the losses, all the mistakes, all the heartaches, all the tears. They're coming with all of it. All right, girl. Yeah, you already know that, L'Oreal. They're coming with all of it. And so if they put a value on that, and the person in front of you says, I can afford that, okay, it's okay. And you always be gracious. You always be gracious. It doesn't mean that that person's never going to be in your space or never going to use you. It just means they can't right now. All right. I never go. If someone called, I was someplace recently and their price was $20,000. I never try to talk a person down off their price. I just understand that right now, that may not be where I am. And every year, where something says it's $5,000 now, $10,000 now, $15,000, I don't even blink. I don't blink because I understand, once I have vetted and understand this is what I need to get, I understand that this is my next move, my next price for being great. And then you can set value. If you don't know that you're worthy, and if you have not gone through the process of determining all of these things, there's no way you can set a price. Do not try to set a price on your product, because you are a major part of the reason that that person's buying the product. Your why is a major part of the reason they're buying their product. Your results are a reason that people are buying a product. And I'm going to give you this last example, and then we're going to end. Several years ago, my daughters laughed at me. Oh, they laughed at me. Hey, Shalana, they laughed at me so bad. I was going to do a book and a process on negotiation. And I've been talking about it, for a year. And I would talk about next year, and they'd laugh. And they said, oh, Mama, you've been talking about that for I don't know how long. Third year came by. There wasn't something that wasn't quite settled in my spirit. As an attorney, I did a lot of negotiation. As a business person, a lot of negotiation. In my personal life, a lot of negotiation. But there's something that would not let me launch it. And it wasn't that I was afraid. It wasn't that. But I knew there was something that was missing. All right? To help y'all out, because all of us go through this. All right? Year 4 rolls around, and they're like, Mom, you don't want to hear about it anymore. Are you going to do that negotiation or not? This year, I am ready to do it. And let me tell you why I'm ready to do it. Because of the people that I've helped in the last 12 months, in the last 2 years, negotiate $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over what they were offered. Came to me and said, Barbara, this is what they offered me. I think I should get more. How much more do you think you should get? Okay. This is how you're going to word it. This is what you're going to do. This is the why. And most of those people were women. And most of them said, I've never negotiated my salary before. They were scared. I said, let me tell you something. You got to determine the difference between sales and negotiation. Say it when you get to negotiation, you are no longer selling. You have decided I'm the person you want. Okay? I'm the person you want. All right? And I said, so what are you afraid of? And so these women, as I walked them through this process, they came back with 30, 20, I'm literally 20, 30, $40,000 more than they were offered. They were blown away and astonished. And I said, okay, now I want you to understand this. Number one, that thing that I always say, am I saying about you don't get what you work for? Okay. You don't get what you ask for, you get what you negotiate. You don't get what you want, you don't get what you work for, you get what you negotiate. That means if you don't open your mouth and if you don't say and understand this is my value, this is what I bring, you're not going to get it. You're waiting for somebody else to say, oh, girl, you're worth more than that. Oh, no, your value to us, oh, it's worth 20, 30,000 more than that. They're not going to say it. They're not going to say it. They're going to say, oh, we're so glad to have you. Can you start on Monday? They're not going to say it. So now I'm ready to write that book and to do the process for people in negotiation because I have the results. I've helped people to do that, to get to where they need to go in their business and in their careers. So what I'm saying to you today, you are the person who determines your value. Your worth has already been determined. God determined your worth. You are determining what value I bring to the table, and the value you bring to the table is determined by what you are willing to do. So I wanted to leave you on that. I want to drop it to give it to you before the end of the year, because as you go into 2023, it can be an absolutely phenomenal year for you. But don't go poking in the dark. Say, guess what? I'm going to increase my value. And when I come to the table, this is my price. So I sit back now when I go to the table and people say, you too, Ernestine, when people say, so what's your price? I've had corporations say, what's your price? And what the price for this? And I give them a price. And they said, oh, we weren't planning to really pay that much. Now, let me tell you something. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would say, oh, well, what do you have? I mean, I sit there and I look at them and I wait for them to talk. And you know what the next thing they say is? Well, we understand why you're that's your price, because we want to work. You are that good. I know I'm that good. You got to know it. Okay. It's got to get in your spirit. And you know what they do? They go back and they find the money and they come back and pay it. All right. Okay. They already know it. The problem is, do you know it? The issue is, do you know your value? All right. And you always have to be willing to walk away from the table. Ladies, I hope that you have a great holiday, a great Thanksgiving. I'll be seeing some of you and others of you. If I don't see you or talk to you before the new year, have a safe new year, a safe holiday, Christmas, or whatever it is you celebrate, Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and stay safe. Love you much. Bye-bye.